Hotel staff of Reddit, what's the most inappropriate moment you witnessed at your hotel? Story 1. I was working the shift this night, and we had a group of Aussie Rules players from Poland staying at the hostel. They were in town playing a game. We also had some Navy boys from England staying with us. The hostel at this point was mostly men. When the team came back, they immediately started drinking because they lost. The Navy boys had been there a few days at this point, and we were pretty tight. They joined in on the drinking with the team. We ran out of booze by like 8 p.m., so I ran to go get more. The Navy boys had been staying with me at reception drinking. We were flipping around playing that ridiculous knife between fingers game, when this absolutely gorgeous chick from Scotland comes in to check in. I had been getting loose because she was my last check-in, and the Navy guys go in banter mode while I try to do my job. This Scottish chick had gotten a private room for a few days. I showed her around, gave her the whole hostel talk, and took her to her room. I told her she is welcome to come drink with us. I left her in her room. Eventually she comes down to drink with me and the Navy boys at reception. Navy boys are laying on the banter super hard, and eventually one of them gets her to take him back to her room. She is pretty drunk, so I ask her if she is okay going up, and then she just kisses me on the stairs case. I had no clue what the heck was about to happen. About 20 minutes later, the first Navy boy she took up comes down and is basically like that chick is flipping wild before he left and went to his room. No idea how long it was, but she came down and was blasted beyond belief. She goes downstairs to get water and ignores me as one of the Aussie Rules players is following her. By the time she came down for the third guy, I realized what was going on. But this time she came to reception and said something like, "When your shift is over, come bring me a glass of water and some painkillers." Eventually she comes down for a fourth, fifth, and sixth guy. My shift is coming to an end, and I do what any respectable hostel worker would do and bring her some water and some medicine. I was not prepared for what I walked into. She was naked in bed, sprawled out with a huge smile on her face, half asleep. Her butt was completely covered in bruising, and her neck has clear finger bruising from being choked. She looked up at me and looked like she had the best night of her life. I put the drink on the table with the medicine. She grabbed my arm and looked up at me and told me to choke her while she sucked my ding-dong. I did what any respectable hostel worker would do, and that was how I lost my virginity. Story 2. One night while I was working audit, I had some guests ask if there was any way to use the pool after hours. As our pool closed at 11 and they were checking in fairly close to midnight, I agreed as I had homework to do and I thought I'd be nice. So I agreed and let them in. My mistake was not turning on the lights, which I left off to not make other guests who might happen upon it think it was open. So I let them in and proceeded to do my work and ignored them. After a while I decided to check the cameras to see if they were still in there or if they had returned to their room. Upon looking at the cameras, I see them just going at it. At first, I didn't believe what I saw, but they were going to Pound Town. I wasn't sure what to do. I didn't want to be that guy to ruin their good time. But I still had my job to worry about. Since the lights were off and it was late, I just let things finish up. I did get a nice tip from them as thanks for letting them use the pool after hours. That was the first and last time I let people in the pool area after hours. It was an interesting night for sure. Story 3. One night a guy comes from outside and asks if he could use our restroom. It's located one floor down, and every time we let someone in at night, we kind of scan the person before letting them in, and I didn't get any crazy vibes from this dude. After about 20 to 25 minutes, I got the feeling maybe everything wasn't okay and went downstairs. When approaching the bathrooms, I could hear him inside the handicap toilet and the door was open a bit. He was on his knees with his pants down, doing harem and sucking on the door handle while watching NSFW on his phone. I yelled at him and asked what the hell he was doing but could get in contact with him. so I grabbed a towel and threw it over his face to break line of sight. I told him to leave immediately or I would call the police. I went upstairs and after a few minutes he left the building. That one sticks out for me. Story 4. Wrestling state tournament week is always hell, but this story takes place about 12 years ago. A wrestling team checked in with 4 coaches and 9 kids. The kids were all eliminated early in the tournament and went home, but the organizers asked 2 of the coaches to be officials for the rest of the tournament. The coaches agreed and misery ensued. The first evening without students they got hammered, then puked in the elevator. The second night they got drunk again and went to bed, at least I thought. Then at 3 in the morning I heard a door slam shut and looked up to see one of them staggering into the lobby but naked. He was oblivious to my reprimands and flopped down on the couch directly in front of the front door. I called the police, made a key for his room, and got a towel for him to cover up with. The cop showed up and asked if I had tried to wake him up, and I responded that I was not approaching a drunk naked man while working alone as a 22-year-old female. Cops got him up and escorted him to his room. The school wound up paying for damage to both coaches' rooms, and I never saw those guys again. I still work the night shift in a hotel in the same town and dread wrestling teams to this day. Story 5. Late night 1:30-ish a.m. and we are getting ready to close the bar. A very attractive woman, aged about 30, approaches. My buddy and I tell her that we are about to close up but can offer her a drink if she wants. She seems drunk already and pauses for a moment before whipping out a $20 bill and handing it to me. She asks for a Negroni. I say sure and begin to make it. As I am putting the ice into the mixer, I see my buddy give me a funny look, a shocked sort of look. I ask him what's up and he side-eyes towards the woman. Lo and behold, I turn around and there she is with her tits out, rubbing her nipples. I ask her kindly to leave and tell her I cannot serve her. She walks away and throws her bra at me. Story 6. I worked at a frighteningly fast sandwich shop in college. We were open late and had to deal with a bunch of drunks and the like. One night we had a huge group of bikers come in. Probably like 30 people, all of them older like 50 plus with leather vests, handlebar mustaches. You get it. One of the women in the group orders her sandwich. I'm working the register. I tell her it'll be $7 or whatever. So she pulls out her tits and I gotta tell you they weren't great. She was a large woman already and they weren't exactly pretty. She starts rubbing her nipples and says, "How much now?" I look at her tits, then back up at her face and say $10. Then there was this horribly quiet moment where everyone got really tense. Then she started laughing and all the guys started laughing and they tipped us really well. Put a couple $100 in the tip jar. It wasn't until later that I learned they were a legit biker gang in the area who were actually pretty dangerous. So I'm lucky they thought it was funny. Story 7. I was working at Motel 6 in college. There was a youth soccer tournament that weekend, so 90% of the rooms were families with young children. The hotel setup was like a big L-shaped building with the pool and spa in the center. All the rooms on that side of the building overlooked the spa. It was lit up because it had a nice little garden. Well, a young couple check in around 8:30 and around 9:30 my phone board lights up from about 10 different rooms all basically at the same time. I answer and a very upset mother tells me that there are people doing the deed in the hot tub. I looked in the security camera and it was bad quality, but I could see there were people in the tub. So I walk out there and sure enough the young couple are going at it in the hot tub. I walk up kind of looking away and say, "Excuse me, the hot tub is closed for the night." I made some comments about everyone seeing them, but I forget exactly what I said. They were very embarrassed and took off right after confronting them. But they hurried out and went back to their room. Had a few customer complaints the next morning. Thank you for watching until the end of the video. If you have enjoyed, please like, subscribe, and be sure to check out some of our other videos.